So hi guys, thanks for joining today. A little bit different, no cars, watches, planes, none of that stuff today. Let's talk about success and how you can be successful. I want everybody to realize everything I do here is to inspire and to motivate. I didn't grow up with this stuff, I've earned it. You can do this too. Adam, what do you think people want to hear and how do you think we should set these questions out?
Well, I think a lot of people, me included, look at successful people, so whether that be you consider them successful because they're wealthy or because they've done well in their jobs or because of their car collection or whatever that is, whatever you deem to be successful. I always look at those people and wonder what it is that differentiates them from me and what I can do to get to that position. So I guess what would be interesting for me and for the audience to know is, what is it about your mindset that you think that sets you apart from people who are less successful than you are?
So you used a great word there, you said mindset. It's all about mindset. If you have a positive mindset, you can make positive things happen. And I think that's the big differentiating factor between success and failure, is what's in your mind. If you think you can't do it, well, guess what? You won't do it. But if you tell yourself, yes, I can, at whatever capacity that is, you'll deliver it. But it takes effort, and you have to choose something that you're passionate about, become very good at it, study it, and then turn it into something. Everybody can do it.
And so what is it that you can pull from your experiences that show a difference in your mindset between somebody else's? Do you have any examples of anything?
Yeah, I do. So when I was a kid growing up, I might have been 13, 14 years of age. I was walking through London with some friends of mine, and we were in Mayfair and looking at the shops and dreaming, and a beautiful Ferrari pulled up. I don't remember which model it was, but it was gorgeous, and a couple of my friends were like, ugh, how did he get that? Did he steal it, type of thing? And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's cool. That guy must have done something with his life. I want one of those, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get one. So I set myself up for this. I just told myself, hey, I can do it. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but there had to be a way.
And positivity aside, because everybody can think, oh, I'm going to do that one day, but just thinking about it doesn't equate to success, right? There
absolutely right.
Action. So what actions can you take to achieve a goal or achieve a dream?
Well, I think the first thing is believe in yourself. You have to believe you can do it. Once you believe you can do it, whatever that might be, really concentrate on that one aspect. So, okay, I want to be an auto mechanic. Okay, there's thousands of auto mechanics. Some are good, some are not so good. Those that really put effort into it end up owning their own workshops, and it grows and grows and grows. They get a reputation for quality work, for good customer service. That's what it's about. It's not whether you're a brain surgeon or a trash collector. Anything you can be good at. And as long as you excel in your field, and I always recommend to people, find something that you really love, that you're passionate about, and go into that field. Just don't get a job for the sake of getting a job. And I know it's easy for me to say that because people need to make money. But focus on something you really enjoy, and that way you're not really going to work, you're going to play, and you make money whilst you're doing it.
And I think that's a common thread, and certainly we've seen people making comments on your videos where they're perhaps not as positive as others. And I do often wonder whether that's because people are envious of what you have because they're doing something that they don't love, and whether that is the kind of thing that stems these negative feelings rather than them just, not liking you for what you have.
Well, it goes back to mindset. They don't believe in themselves. They're channeling all that energy into hate. And what happens when you hate things? It comes back and bites you, because the only thing you're doing is really hating yourself. If you look at the likes on pretty much all my videos, there's a massive difference between the thumbs up and the thumbs down. Thousands of thumbs up, and then you get a handful of thumbs down. And those people, those are the ones that, I hope you watch this to the end, because by the end of this video, please give a little belief to yourself. Tell yourself you can do it too. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to make you jealous. That's not what this is about. I'm a guy like any other guy that grew up with nothing. And guys, you can do this. You can make success out of yourself. It doesn't have to be millions of dollars, but it's success. It makes you feel good. You get back what you put in.
So how do we make this achievable for people who are at let's say that you're on the top rung of the ladder right now, people that are on the bottom rung of the ladder? How do you turn 0 to 1? Because turning 1 to 2 and 2 to 5 and 5 to 10 million is easy, but how do you go from nothing to the first step? You know, let's say that you've got somebody out there who their goal is that they would love to own a Ferrari one day, but they have a mediocre college, or maybe not college, mediocre high school education. What could they do in their daily routine that would set them up for success more so than someone who just does the 9 to 5 grind?
Same thing, doesn't matter what your job is, become really, really good at it. Put in that extra effort, study, read about it. Doesn't matter what it is. If you're a window cleaner and you're cleaning people's house windows, learn how to do skyscrapers, go that extra mile and become better than anybody else, become more desirable than anybody else. And guess what? That's when your money goes up, because people will pay for good service and good results. It's not about the time spent, it's not about the effort put in, it's all about the results. And you don't get good results unless you know what you're doing. So that's why I always revert back to saying, study it, study it, study it. You don't need a university degree, you don't. You just need knowledge, and you can gain knowledge without going to school. Read about it, study, practice, perfect the craft, and that way good things will happen to you.
So using that example of somebody cleaning windows, I think nowadays it's easier than ever to become your own boss, and you know, entrepreneur is the hot new thing, right?
Let me give you an example of something that I'm thinking of. So imagine you just come out of high school, say you didn't even graduate high school. Okay, now what? Hey, I've got nothing left to do, I've got no money, what am I going to do? Go and get yourself a bucket, a sponge and some soapy water and a couple of towels, and go knocking on people's doors. And no matter where you are in the world, you're going to find people that have dirty cars. And go and say to them, I'm just starting out with my career, let me please wash your car, I'm not going to charge you anything, you look at the job I've done, when I'm finished, give me what you think it's worth. You might get 99 rejections out of 100, but if you hit 1,000 doors, that gives you 10 cars that you can clean. And if the average person gives you $10, which I think probably most people give you more than that, that's $100. You do that 5 times a week, that's $500. That's $2,000 a month. And you grow it and you grow it and you grow it, and eventually you'll be able to buy your own detailing car or truck, and you mark it up so it looks nice. And then if you think even bigger than that, as that develops, you go and hire people to help you. And what do? You go and get another truck. It doesn't have to be a new one. Just make it look nice, put some water in it, put some sponges, some soap. That's all you need, but some ingenuity. But do a good job. If you do a good job, you'll get recommended. It will grow and grow, and that's how things build. That's how you become successful.
So I think, having self-belief is massive, and having that mindset that things can be bigger than they are currently, like always looking for the improvements in your career, in your personality, in your skill set, right? Would you say that that's...
Yeah, I mean, most people, if they're not in a positive mindset, they're always looking for shortcuts. And shortcuts normally shortchange you. That's what happens. You have to speculate in order to accumulate. And the way you do that is you believe in yourself, you try to do something positive, create a little business. Even if you go to work in a 9-to-5 job, you make burgers at McDonald's. Well, don't stop with burgers at McDonald's, become the store manager, become a regional manager, start your own restaurant, something. It's not that hard to do. It's just if you don't believe you can do it, you're listening to me, oh yeah, sure. Well, guess what? You can do it. I did. I have lots of friends that did. So, I'm just, can't tell you enough. Think positively. Put the negative stuff behind you.
Yeah, I think effort and hard work are the keys here, aren't they? Self-belief, effort, and well, I guess effort and hard work are the same thing, but it's that people now are always looking for that shortcut, like you said. It's always the how to lose weight quickly or how to make $1 million in 3 months. And yeah, I'm sure there are outliers who have done that, but in reality, like,
it doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't happen.
I mean, how long have you been in the industry that you're currently in? How long has it taken you to get to where you are now? I'm not talking about starting off washing dishes. I'm talking about sort of your professional career.
So that's a great question. So I started out in the music industry as a musician, and I played drums. Was I the world's greatest drummer? No, but I was good, and I practiced all the time, enough so to get me jobs in studios. I wasn't playing with the biggest bands in the world, but I was okay, and I could hold a beat. And I developed this, and I became a regular call for session play, for to play in studios with other bands. And eventually, my name circulated. But why did that happen? It happened because I practiced every single day. I didn't want to be a drummer all my life. That wasn't my goal, but it was certainly a way into the industry. That was all I knew how to do. As I was in the studios, I started to watch how records were being produced. Again, not something that I ever studied, but I focused on it, and it was a real focus. And I would go back home in the evening after being in the studio, and I would recreate what happened that day. And how could it have been better? What could I do to enhance that? Because you can't look at it as, oh, there's a ton of great producers out there. Well, hey, I could be a great producer too. How do I do that? I don't know, but I'm going to learn. And that's exactly what I did. I made a few records. The first few were total failures. They were awful, but I didn't give up. I kept going and pushing, and I believed that one day it could happen, until eventually it did. But it took some time, and it took blood, sweat, and tears, But here we are today. That's all in the past, and I continue to learn every day. That's another factor. Never think you know it all, because you don't.
And so how long would you say then it's taken you to get from session drumming to today, right now?
I started session drumming at a young age, 16, 17 years of age. Didn't pay me a whole lot of money. As you know, I worked for the British Army in Berlin, Germany, washing dishes as a civilian. It was no fun at all. But I was also playing drums. I actually played drums on little boats that went up and down the rivers in Berlin in the evenings as a supplemental income. And then I transitioned that later on into becoming a mainstay at one of the big studios there, continuing to practice, because there's a lot of competition. You have to be better than the rest. And you can't become that unless you've put effort into it. So that was probably 4 or 5 years of solid hard work. And then I started the production thing. And overall, probably 10, 12 years from the point where I started to where it became relatively successful.
And how did it feel for you the day that you were able to buy your first supercar?
That's an interesting story. So it was one of the most amazing days of my life, and still is to this day. I remember getting in that car, not believing that it was actually mine, because it was a long dream, and here I am sat in this car. It was a Ferrari. And I pulled out of the dealership laughing and driving the first 2 or 3 miles. I couldn't stop laughing. I'm by myself, and I'm looking around. People must think I'm mad, but it was the greatest feeling ever. I achieved that, and it was a goal. And the moment that I had that car, I pulled into my garage that night, and I said to myself, okay, so now I've achieved this, what's next? What's my next goal? And then I set myself my next goal.
Do you think then that once you achieve your goals, no matter whether that be buying a supercar or something perhaps a little more humble?
It doesn't even have to be monetary.
Yeah,
you can have a goal. I want to meet my life partner. There's a million things you can want.
But would you say that once you achieve a goal, once you set a goal and achieve it, the likelihood of you achieving your next goal is higher because you have already seen, kind of like when you start to work out at the gym, the first 6 weeks you don't see any results, and it's tough because you go every day and you're like, why am I putting myself through this? I'm not seeing results. And then you start to see the results, and once you see those, it then becomes easier to go to the gym because you're building on success.
Correct.
Would you say that that's the same thing with goal setting?
It's absolutely the same thing, in fact even more so, because what you do is you're building a foundation. And I think we all know if you build a tall building and you don't have a solid foundation, it's going to fall over. So start building a foundation, make sure it's solid, and then you can put floor after floor on top of it until you have a skyscraper. The sky is literally the limit if you do that. You mentioned the gym. There's effort and time, right? So imagine this for a second. So you go to the gym, you spend 10 hours on an elliptical machine, right? And you're doing your thing all day long. And then the guy next to you, he's there for 30 minutes and he's lifting these really heavy weights. He's going to get big results. And then some people say, he's on steroids. Well, he's not on steroids. he's just putting in more work. It takes less time, but it's more work and more effort than just being on that elliptical all day long. So remember, it's about results. You have to do what you have to do to get the results.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an important takeaway, is that people that set goals for themselves, a lot of people will start with nothing and they'll think, oh yeah, I want a Ferrari, or their goal is so out of reach at the point at which they set it that when they don't achieve it, it's like, oh, I give up. Whereas if you incrementally set goals, you're far more likely to succeed, right?
That's absolutely right. You have to set goals. But it's not just goals. A goal has to have a timeline. If it doesn't have a timeline, you'll never achieve it.
So you can hold yourself accountable.
So you have to hold yourself accountable. I say, okay, I want to achieve this by June the 1st. Yeah. Well, guess what? If June the 2nd comes and you haven't achieved it, you didn't reach your goal. But if you don't put a date on it, you don't put a timeline, the goal's still there out in the future and it's meaningless. So always put a goal with a timeline and make it a realistic goal. Don't think, I want to buy a jumbo jet. That's silly. Do something that you know you can achieve, and then once you've achieved it, you go to the next level and you keep building and building until the time comes where you've achieved all your goals.
How do you deal with failure?
There's no such thing as failure. Failure is a word that I like to keep out of my vocabulary. Something doesn't work, it's not necessarily a failure. It's just, hey, it didn't work, it needs to be modified. We need to look at this again. How can I make it work? Because it's not failed. It's only failed if you give it up, right? And if you give up, that's a failure. But if you keep working on it and modifying it, the day will come where it works out the way you want it to, and that will be a success.
So that's interesting for me to hear you say that, because failure is a thing, and failure is a thing to everybody, because there'll be instances where you want to do, you've set out to do something and that doesn't happen. But what's interesting to me, and this comes back to you talking about mindset, and this is how I know that what you're saying is what you live, is the fact that when I asked you how you deal with failure, rather than recognize that failure exists, the way that you deal with it is by, if something doesn't go the way you want, adapting, evolving, changing, continuing to push until you get there. And I think that's key, because a lot of people will experience failure, and like you said, then they'll give up, and then that'll be it.
Even if it's something as simple as you're going for a job, let's say I'm a cook, right? And I go to a restaurant and I don't get the job. Is that a failure? No. It's a failure if you say, oh, it's the end of the world, I didn't get the job, and you don't try again. That's a failure. But if you say to yourself, oh, didn't get this job, I'm going to the next restaurant. You keep going, you'll get that job. You will become a cook in a restaurant somewhere. That's a success. So it's all up to you. It's your mindset. And I can't emphasize this enough. It's your mindset.
Yeah, so I mean, the key points that we've kind of hit on are self-belief, number one.
Yes.
Because if you don't believe in you, no one else is going to, right?
That's right.
Hard work and effort, and perseverance as well. Because I don't think hard work and effort are the same as perseverance, because like you said, you can work hard at something and then when it doesn't go right, I give up. So those three things, do you think there are any other important character traits that you need?
Well, there's, people go to university and they study, they get all the degrees, and the ultimate degree is a PhD, a doctorate. There's another type of PhD. I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use it, the word poor. But PhD, if you use it this way, poor, hungry, and driven, or poor, hungry, and determined, that's a great PhD to have, because you can turn the poor into rich, the hungry into fed, and the driven into, hey, I'm in my supercar, or whatever it might be. So utilize your own skills, whatever they are. It doesn't matter. You have skills. Everybody has skills. Find your best skill. Find your passion. Dig deep into it. Become great at it. And then go out and rock the world.
And how important do you think it is to be nice to people?
It's incredibly important. I mean, because somebody's bank account grows, it doesn't change that person. It shouldn't say, oh, I'm better than you, or I'm worse than you. It doesn't work like that. A person is a person. You've always got to remember where you came from, what you've had to do to become what you are today. And those that are around you, your friends, they should always be your friends, regardless of whether they have big bank accounts, small bank accounts. None of that matters. Always be humble, always be true to yourself, always give back. That's another thing that I like to do. I've been very, very fortunate. And, well, have I been that fortunate? I've worked for it. Nobody gave me anything that I have.
I hate that when people say, oh, you're so lucky. Like, sure, you're lucky if you win a competition.
Yes.
But if you build a career and you build an empire, you're not lucky. You made that luck. You did that.
You did. Not everybody achieves the same level of success, if you want to use financial terms, but success should never be measured in financial terms. And you're absolutely right. Luck, it's nice to have luck. I would love to win the lotto tomorrow. I mean, there's no question about it. But don't ever count on that. Don't think people are lucky. Think people are smart. If they work and they do whatever it is that they set their minds to doing, that's smart. That's, I applaud that. And always be nice to everybody around you.
So we've spoken about this off camera, but I think that people will be interested in hearing. Tell the guys watching what you do every now and again with your money to keep you hungry and motivated.
So I've done this a few times in my life, probably 3 or 4 times. I've got to a point where, hey, I don't really need to work anymore. And that would be the most boring and soul-destructive thing I could possibly think of. So what I did was, and what I would probably do again, is all my savings and everything I had, I put into a bank on a long-term investment, whereby there is a penalty if I take it out early, and that's the last thing you want to do is pay a penalty on your own money. And started from scratch, literally. So what am I going to do? Well, I'll do the same thing again because I know I'm good at it. I've learned all the way through, and now I've got some new ideas that I can implement as well. So I'd start something similar, not exactly the same, obviously, but similar, and start from scratch and build and build and build until the point where, hey, this is great, and tuck it all away and repeat. So that's a great way to keep yourself motivated.
Yeah, and I mean, they do say, don't they, that growth doesn't come from comfort. Growth comes from discomfort, and making yourself, putting yourself into that uncomfortable position when you are in a position of comfort is a great way to make sure that you continue to grow.
Yeah, and it's not just about how much money you've got. It's not about that. Let's take Bill Gates, for example. Yeah. Bill Gates, one of the wealthiest guys in the world, if not the wealthiest guy. He's up there somewhere. He goes to work every single day, works hard, comes up with new ideas, and wants to make more and more and more. Why? Not because he needs more money, but because he needs that mental challenge. He needs to keep going forward and create successes. If you just stop and just fester, it doesn't do you any good at all. Your mind will just self-destruct. So keep yourself challenged, keep yourself going, just like he does. I mean, he didn't get there without hard work and effort.
So to wrap this up then, what are the kind of bullet points that you can give to the guys that they can use in their daily lives, hopefully to allow them to become more and more successful?
Well, thing number 1 is believe in yourself, and I can't ever say this enough. Self-belief. Tell yourself you can do it, because you can. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever it is, just become good at it, practice it, study it, and then do it. So that's number 1, believe in yourself. Number 2, determination. Be determined. Don't let anything get in your way. Don't let your friends bring you down, or you can't do that, or your family, or whatever. You show them different. You can do that. You really can do that. So that's a big one. Number 3, be positive, and be positive around those that you talk to, your friends, your family, strangers in the street. Never think you're better than them. Never think you know it all. Everybody's learning. I'm learning every day. You should learn too. And the 4th one is never ever give up. That's a big one as well. Remember, failure is only at the point where you give up. If you're walking and you fall down and you stay there, you failed. You didn't get to your destination. But if you get up and you continue walking, you'll make it. That's success. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope you take some of my words seriously. I'm doing this for you, not for me. I really want to help you guys. I started with nothing. I have a nice lifestyle now, and you can too. Set yourself those goals. Remember, achievable goals. Don't be crazy.
And guys, remember, please hit that like button. Also subscribe and press the little bell button next to it so that you get the notifications when we upload new videos. Michael and I read all of the comments. Michael will reply to you as well. But if you have any suggestions as to videos that you would like to see, things you would like Michael to talk about, then please let us know in the comments and we will do our best to accommodate. But yeah, I guess that's it. Oh, and also share this video with any of your friends who you think take Michael's advice. just sitting here, I've really enjoyed this and I've learnt a lot, so I'm sure you guys will too. So until next time, I guess that's it.
See ya.
Thank you guys.